Disney.
What's on the menu? Here could be ceviche, stinky you.
Interrupting this beautiful African intro in an attempt to discount Weird Al, a slam on the Peruvian dish ceviche, as if your goal was to pull off the rare simultaneous double cultural insensitivity. Also, Lion King sequel opens by stealing an iconic song from the first movie cliche. It's happened 3 times, people! 3 times! And it won't be the last!
Well, enough of that.
God damn it. Did the TVA get Timon and Pumbaa too? I did not come to a Lion King sequel expecting f***ing Timon Pool and Warthog-erine.
I'm fast-forwarding to the part where we come in.
Vanity.
But you can't go out of order.
Just gonna open up this email from Chris Nolan. Oh, it says citation needed. Having 2 remote controls that control the same movie theater and apparently custom designing separate models to match the relative size of a warthog and a meerkat.
So, does this mean we're going back to the beginning?
Oh no, Pumbaa. We're going way back to before the beginning.
That just means you've incorrectly titled your movie. If at least part of this is taking place before The Lion King, then it should be The Lion King 0.75, or The Lion King some stuff that happened before the first movie, followed by some stuff we've retconned to make it look like Timon and Pumbaa were there all along. Me putting the over-under on this freeze frame becoming reality at 2041. Also, why was the 2 that big if it was destined to be relegated to the lower portion of the half symbol? Why did you briefly decide to trick the kids of 2004 into thinking they were watching the wrong movie, you sick f***s?
How can a rock be proud? It's a rock.
Timon will continue to be excellent at CinemaSins.
Well, I think it's because a pride is what they call a group of lions.
Oh,
Pumbaa will continue to be excellent at being in the comments section.
when I was a young meerkat.
At this point, the callbacks to the original The Lion King songs have briefly equaled the total number of minutes in the movie. This hippo trying to have a bath in this tiny puddle. Even in a blink and you miss it speed zoom, Disney can't help but comment on global warming. Will the woke mind virus never relent? Also, in order for this ostrich to be offended, the camera operator would need to be literally flying backwards under its legs, which seems like an odd route for the DP to insist on. The only alternative is that the zoom on this camera is f***ing immense, which means the ostrich shouldn't realize it's being filmed.
But you don't have to take my word for it. I'll just let my fellow meerkats do the talking.
Very little talking shall be had, and instead, we'll get a song that was deemed good enough for direct-to-home video. Okay, meerkats do dig tunnels, but if they dig them like this, we'd just remember them as those dumb rats that went extinct after building insanely unstable tunnels.
Uncle Max, relax. Have you seen Timon?
Hearing the unmistakable voice of America's real mom reminds me of the simple times of 2004 when Disney had to settle for stealing popular voice talent instead of buying the entire company that made them famous.
As a matter of fact, there's no sign of Timon's handiwork anywhere.
I would suggest that maybe you haven't spent enough time training him and probably shouldn't have let him continue to dig on his own after the first few mishaps.
Way to go, Tunnel Klutz. Who else could break a hole?
Thing my college girlfriend said to me on the way to urgent care somehow makes it into the script.
Everything the light touches belongs to someone else.
And Disney took that personally. Also, the movie uses a record scratch audio trope even though LPs were made illegal by a joint session of Mere Congress in 1863.
What can I say? It's nature's design.
She's right.
Uncle Max apparently knew they'd be coming this way and just decided to hide here like a dick so he could interrupt the conversation in the scariest way possible. Like a dick.
We can't digest grass. We're grass intolerant.
Even though they mostly eat insects, meerkats can indeed digest grass. And this movie is responsible for spreading misinformation and lies to children for going on 2 decades now.
Rip us limb from limb.
Bravo, Uncle Max. Way to sell it to the cheap seats.
Not realizing that you're in a movie that wasn't deemed good enough to even have cheap seats.
Applaud now, sonny boy. But try clapping when you don't have any hands.
Uncle Max acting as if that couldn't be done. You can absolutely still applaud without hands. Just makes a different sound depending on how recently the hyena bit them off. These 3 hyenas are here right from the beginning of Timon's song, but won't attack until he sees them after he's done with his colorful Broadway daydream, as predators are wont to do. Also, I'm guessing the chief reason Timon hasn't been able to hold down a job is because he insists on pounding acid while no one is looking and trip absolute monkey balls on his first day.
There's a dinner and a show.
And I thought beans were the only musical food.
Downplaying the melodious abilities of a good cabbage.
Suede is the look for this fall.
Thinking f***ing around with suede is a good idea in any season and paying $79.50 plus shipping and handling for the privilege of finding out.
Magazine.
You're sitting on the
What I like
remote.
about it- oh,
Sorry,
crap.
I thought it was a
Clear
brownie.
your-
No one interrogates the reason this warthog thought it was okay that he was sitting on a brownie.
I guess I owe everyone an apology.
I'm left wondering why the meerkats are even worried about hyenas, considering these guys caught them completely off guard and yet didn't eat a single one of them. They seem quite content to nibble on Uncle Max's butt fur and call it a day.
I'm sure we're all gonna laugh about this someday.
No, I think 2004 was your best shot, honestly.
Well, I hope you find what you're looking for, honey.
Scene does not contain a U2 needle drop.
And people wonder why I have issues.
Giving the impression that affectionate parents are giving their children issues by being too affectionate. Yeah, that's what therapists hear all the time. My parents hugged me too much.
I'll be okay.
Oh, I know you will.
3, 2, 1, and symbolism me, Disney. Symbolism me hard.
Goodbye, Ma!
Kits.
I boldly ventured off when no meerkat had dared to go before.
Hold up on the boulder going, Disney. You don't own Star Trek yet.
Which way should I go?
That depends on what you seek.
Ah, how
convenient.
convenient.
Enter omniscient monkey right on cue.
Right on cue.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke. Fine, I'll just take a sip.
You seek Hakuna Matata.
Oh, this is going to be one of those sequels that decides to give us the backstory on every single thing we didn't ask for a backstory on from the first movie, isn't it? Well, I can't wait to find out how Scar became the way he is, or what Nala's childhood was like. I'm sure they wouldn't give us Hakuna Matata and not prioritize those things too, right?
It's kind of hard to think with all this music.
If Timon has his Deadpool gauge turned high enough to hear the score of the movies, then why does he also need the framing device of him and Pumbaa watching it later for commentary? How many different ways do you need to break the universe, Disney?
Hello? Strange but wise monkey?
That monkey said less than 40 words to you, and most of those were repeated, so you have no idea if he's wise. He sounded f***ing insane. Movie will now try to create a bit of tension about the moment Timon met Pumbaa, even though we all know they're now married and living in a house with a giant screening room that contains his and his remote controls. Also, if Timon is committing to running instead of digging, running on all four legs like an actual meerkat would be a better plan. I mean, why come to cartoons at all if it isn't for accurate representations of nature?
Most animals give me a pretty wide berth.
It's like you have this special power.
It's quite fitting that most kids' movies seem to wield farts as their own special power to immediate hilarity.
I drive almost everyone away. People see me coming and they run for cover.
Having such bad gas that people can actually see it while you're approaching. Unless you're saying it's by reputation, which would make its power less valuable to Timon, since you guys are going on a journey away from here. Either way, this movie's plot hangs on farts, and I'm just not sure I can stomach that.
I'm Timon.
Pumbaa!
No, really.
Acting like Pumbaa is a less weird name than Timon. Wow, this movie loves that Baz Luhrmann. He's a great director. Bit so much it homaged it twice.
So now we're back at the beginning, right, Timon?
Considering much of the original Lion King was based on Hamlet, the fact that they're basically doing Rose Meerkats and Gildenhog for the second one is kind of genius. And Timon and Pumbaa are the perfect pair to fit that role. I think I might just have to take a sin off before I get back to sinning them for playing with my nostalgia by using the first movie's amazing intro twice within the first 25 minutes.
You really think I look fat?
You're a pig. It's a compliment.
Oh, thank you.
This movie might have done more for body positivity than any Disney princess to date.
I don't do so well in crowds. Maybe we better go around.
Don't you know the shortest distance between me and my dream home is a straight line? Follow me.
Disney decided to make all these animal rears nondescript enough to not offend, but forgot to erase the biggest asshole on the screen by letting Timon treat Pumbaa like this.
Watch it, Twiggy. I'm walking here.
This meerkat, who has spent his life in the African savannah, has picked up the attitude of a New Yorker.
Yo!
Oh, look, the rhinos are bowing.
Ooh, we better bow too.
Turning one of the most meaningful moments of The Lion King into an extended fart joke. Nice try, Disney. You'll never be able to retcon my nostalgia. I am not falling for your blatant gaslighting. Also, wait, how did a fart from Pumbaa start a fire on Timon's head? Nonsense that I have to research, honestly. In case you were wondering what happened during the epic appearance of the title card in the first movie, I guess we can rest easy knowing that they just stood there, perfectly frozen in time, while Simba lost all the feeling in his arms.
I don't gotta share it with anybody.
Don't you get, lonely out here?
He just got here, with you! He hasn't had time to experience shit, asshole! Where the f*** did Pumbaa get the supplies and ingredients for this drink so quickly? And how did he get such good foam head on there? You know what, considering what we learn later about the hot tub bubbles, I rescind the question. Pumbaa thinks Timon is being selfish and wants the big bed to himself instead of realizing that what he's really wanting here is to be the little spoon. Either the Lion King franchise takes place during a time period where the moon was 1,000,000% closer to Earth, or someone went to the Bruce Almighty School of Animating Moony Things.
Hey, keep it down up there.
burying one of the greatest Disney songs of all time behind a wall. If you're gonna fan service, the least you can do is service me properly and fill my ear hole, you perverts. Holy confusing coloring palette, man! Looks like someone created this scene with paint by numbers, but all the numbers were f***ing shrooms. Movie now, Rainforest gumps our leads into yet another of the OG songs, because how else would it get its runtime to 70 minutes? Wait, 70 minutes? 70 minutes? There are 9 episodes of Stranger Things longer than this f***ing movie. Jeez, have some pride, Disney. The movie's obsession with ostrich asses. So apparently Timon and Pumbaa caused a tower of animals to collapse at the end of I Just Can't Wait to Be King. Well, that means they're the reason that Zazu wasn't able to keep up with Simba and Nala, which leads them to the elephant graveyard, which triggers the rest of the movie, including Mufasa's death. Yes, Timon and Pumbaa killed Mufasa. Hope it was worth the retcon, Disney.
Spectacular waterfalls set in a lush tropical oasis.
Forget it, Pumbaa. I'm a realist. And I'm not gonna go chasing after some fantasy.
Not continuing this sentence by saying you plan to stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to.
Who would ever come to an elephant graveyard?
Sire, the hyenas are after the children.
Zazu waiting until they were already at the elephant graveyard to tell Mufasa why they were coming there. Also, we don't see Timon and Pumbaa stopping and staying anywhere near long enough for the timeline of them being at all these moments to add up.
What this place lacks in water and shade, it makes up for with searing heat and blinding sunshine.
Arizona.
Shall we run for our lives?
Oh yes, let's.
Glad they found the lighthearted humor in the Mufasa death stampede. It's something we'd all been asking for so long.
That's it? That wasn't so bad.
Wow, I guess if Simba had had the forethought to run here, maybe his dad wouldn't be dead.
You can't knock old Timon down that easy. Yeah, bring it on.
Pride comes before the waterfall cliche.
You mind if I pause it for a second?
A second? Sure, go ahead. As long as you don't pause it for leaving the room for a while Timon hums It's a Small World, as if it's hilarious that you're wasting our time like this for all the some not funny time seconds. Timon and Pumbaa survived this, as if Hakuna Matata applies to physics as well.
What, you're all alone in this big empty world?
Aww, skip.
Pumbaa, you're the only friend I've ever had.
This is supposed to be sweet, but I'm more inclined to believe he doesn't have friends because he's an asshole. At some point, you have to put some mirrors in your home so you can start with the man in them. Wait, are they gonna
Why did we ever listen to that stupid
I think maybe you're giving up too soon, Timon.
Man, it's always super satisfying when the heroes reach their destination through blind f***ing luck instead of determination or skill.
Remember that place I told you about?
Forget about your place. Get a load of what I found.
Hate this f***ing meerkat.
I'll just whip up a little something.
Just to be clear, Disney is fine with graphic depictions of bugs being murdered as long as you're not making a movie about their life.
Try this. Hot tuna frittata.
A few things here. There's no tuna. That is not a frittata. And if it's only hot because it's served in a warthog's mouth, I'll take it cold.
The spinach armada.
Quiet, Pumbaa, I'm trying to think.
A spoon of ricotta.
Well, here's what's the motto. Your meal's missing water. You can't help, remember? You're making this harder. Also, that is not a spoon, sir. That is a bowl.
Hey, Timon, I got an idea. Let's do a sing-along.
Let's not say we did. Or possibly, let's not and say, F you for treating me like a child when it's been 10 years since The Lion King came out, and I'm a f***ing teenager now, and I got your bouncing balls right here, buddy. Hawk 2 of my tatas, wipe. Me in 2004, probably.
Hakuna Mawada?
Oh, look, Mama Meerkat is suddenly back, and she somehow met up with Rafiki, because this movie doesn't have time for your fancy story development shit. It's got places to be, damn it.
You used a metaphor on Timon?
Wait, if this is the story of what Timon and Pumbaa were doing before and during The Lion King, how do they know what happened to Timon's mom and Uncle Max at this point? God damn it, we're eventually going to get The Lion King 1.5 and another half, explaining what they were doing during the events of this movie, aren't we?
Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step.
Thanks. Here's my first step.
Well, at least we know the asshole didn't fall far from the taint tree.
Just bowling for porcupines wasn't the best idea.
What would the goal be in this situation? They don't eat porcupines, right? The whole thing is that they eat bugs. What kind of f***ed kink show is this turning into?
Why not? One more run won't change our lives.
About a decade ago, we said,
Timon and Pumbaa ex machina. But my question is, why do they even give a shit?
and this isn't the only time this movie will come up with a response to something we sinned in The Lion King. So here's a sin for you taking us seriously enough to make an entire movie in response to a sin we haven't written yet, losers.
Okay, who's in charge of the freeze frames?
Sorry.
Better question, why does the movie you're watching now have the ability to snag freeze frames from different parts of it like it's suddenly a slideshow?
We're gonna get old walking across this thing.
That's actually funny. I'd even take a sin back if this joke didn't remind me you're trying to pass off this parenting montage as being substantially different from the aging montage you did in the first movie. And it is not.
Watch where you aim that morning breath. That should come with a warning label.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense that Timon would be the only creature on the planet who's able to put up with Pumbaa's IBS, but is also offended by morning breath.
Looks like someone woke up on the wrong side of the warthog.
I will never understand the decision to cast Matthew Broderick as adult Simba. I'm just saying, if Mufasa were still alive and heard this voice, I guarantee you he's having a conversation with Sarabi immediately about has she ever been to a Bob Dylan concert before.
We never had a snail eating contest before.
This next scene is a teenage Simba and Timon having a snail eating contest that makes Timon sick and Simba wins. There, I've saved you a full 2 minutes that I can never get back. You're welcome. Also, this entire snail-eating bit is set to Morricone's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly theme. And how dare you, movie. Also, quick side note, where the f*** did all these snails come from?
Is this the little boy I carried?
And now the movie will just crib Fiddler on the Roof Sunrise Sunset for a whole scene, just to really pound home how devoid of its own ideas it is.
Oh, bushed. Think I'll turn in for the night.
For the life of me, I can't figure out how one fart hog was making consistent bubbles that covered the entirety of this tub. And wouldn't the smell give you a hint first? This movie is making me think too much about farts, and I'm very angry about it.
Timon, it's your turn to say goodnight.
Taking it upon yourself to be the good night police.
Then I guess we ought to do something.
And I know just what it is.
Is it be a supportive friend parent and let him find happiness in his own way? Or is it going to be smash cut to montage of sabotaging his chance of happiness? Those of you who have seen a movie before are not allowed to participate.
Pumbaa, we can't let them feel the love tonight.
Now that we have firmly entered the stuff we saw in the first movie already, part of this retelling, the movie is grinding its gears trying to think of ways to recontextualize the events. And you could feel the forced effort so much by this point, you might as well have had Bradley Cooper direct it. There is no spider that has 3 eyes. 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, all yes, but never an odd number. And even if it did, they don't have eyebrows. And even if they did have eyebrows, they wouldn't sprout from the center like that. They would arch over each individual eye. It's like this movie doesn't even care at this point. Wait, how did he lose a tooth? Jesus, what kind of f***ed up African bees are taking your f***ing teeth?
Let's go, Pumbaa. I think the storm's coming to a head.
Womp womp.
What happened to friends stick together to the end? Huh?
I was about to ask you the same thing.
It's almost impressive to slip in a third act conflict cliche into a movie that is barely long enough to justify 2 acts. Doubly so when we already know how this story f***ing ends.
I got everything I ever wanted right here.
Oh, I see. Timon's character arc is to go from selfish asshole to still a selfish asshole, but one that realizes he gets lonely without the people he uses, so he goes to find them, which still makes him a selfish asshole.
What was with the running? If you can call that running.
I was giving you time to catch up.
Right, because that was my problem, the head start, not the fact that you somehow defied gravity while running in slow motion.
I love the smell of Pumbaa in the morning.
Gross.
What are you doing here?
Looking for you.
What the f*** is going on here? Lions take around 4 to 5 years to mature, and that chat she had with Rafiki happened before they found Simba. So, have Timon's mom and Uncle Max been on the road for f***ing years trying to find Timon? And how did they end up bumping into him back near Pride Rock, which is pretty close to where Timon's journey began? They've been f***ing this whole time, haven't they?
He's wearing a dress!
Being concerned about your nephew's choice of clothing instead of the hyenas he's running off to taunt.
Is it ready yet, Mom?
Not yet. Keep stalling.
A disembodied voice yelling, "Keep stalling," is how I imagine the Timon and Pumbaa in a theater element of the movie found its origin.
We're too different. It'll never work. What will the children look like?
Oh, that violates so many laws of nature.
Well, scientists recently discovered a dog-fox hybrid, so I think nature might be cool with giving it a try. I think you're the one with the closed mind here, Shenzi, so I'm sending you for it. So Timon got to use his ability to destroy tunnels to trap the hyenas. Cool, I guess. But in the original, the hyenas are watching Simba and Scar fight, so they can hear Scar when he says that it's all their fault. And they are waiting for him when he falls to kill him. There was zero indication that they were just in some sort of tunnel collapse at all. The movie does a pretty good job of not messing up the original timeline for the most part, but the finale is retconned within an inch of its life. Also, we see Timon and Pumbaa come out after Scar's death in the 94 original, and his mom and uncle are nowhere to be seen. And since we see Scar fall in both movies with real-time events occurring after he does, you can literally line them them up and see that when they are emerging from the smoke in the 1994 version, Timon is still in the process of being mom-smothered in the sidequel. So unless there's some sort of time stone shenanigans going on, shit, I just gave Disney another idea, didn't I?
You've really come a long way, Timon.
He is not.
Welcome to our new home. A predator-free environment.
Except the lions who know about it, you mean. But of course, they aren't trying to eat you now because friendship in nature trumps survival. Darwin wrote a whole addendum about it.
Any story worth telling is worth telling twice.
Disney hinted at their future live-action strategy back in 2004, and we all just stood by and watched it happen. The only thing necessary for the triumph of IP abuse is for good people to do nothing. Shame on all of us. Also, it's just occurred to me that the only theatrical release this movie received, in America at least, was in its own movie. And that's pretty sad. Also, final alsos. Why the f*** do they have vines in their theater room? And why is Simba walking on top of the chair? And you know what? F*** it. The science behind this theater is just going to have to remain a mystery.
Why have I been separating the trash into whites and colors?
I'm sure no one asked you to do that.
Because what they don't know is how we really were there, even though they didn't know we were there, you know?
But if I'm still frozen in 1967, how could I have been unthawed in the 90s and traveled back to, oh no, I've gone cross-eyed?
Oh no, Pumbaa. No. We're going way back to before the beginning.
A beginning is a very delicate time. Know then that it is the year 10,191.
When I was a young meerkat.
Stop that! You're not going into a song while I'm here.
We have to look after each other. Our survival depends on it.
What's the point? All we do is dig.
I don't want your life.
What's so bad about dreaming of a better home?
I want to show you something. Look, Timon.
Keep the lettuce separate until 11:30. That way, the lettuce stays moist and the bread stays dry. Huh? Huh?
Scurry, sniff, flinch.
Fussy, 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 you do. Martha Graham, Martha Graham.
You mind if I pause it for a second?
Sure, go ahead.
Be right back.
I'll be right back!
Timon, are you crying?
There's no crying in baseball!
First of all, I juggle one. Now two. You're not laughing now.